Hi learning coaches and students, welcome back to Literature and Comprehension. We're going to continue in Unit 22. We're going to continue with Lesson 3, which is entitled Explore the Three Bears. You will need your Language Arts lesson guide, and you will also need, let me show you your lesson guide, and you will also need the K-12 Read Aloud Treasury. We're going to continue looking at the story, The Three Bears, which is found in the K-12 Read Aloud Treasury book on page 150. So I'm going to give you a moment to go get those materials, and then we'll get started. I'm going to open up the lesson guide. You may choose to use the lesson guide in the book, and that is okay. But I'm going to use the lesson guide online. This story has 4 different parts. We're going to do the get ready part, which is parts of a story, and we're going to review the words to know. A read aloud part is the book walk and the rereading of the Three Bears if you feel like your student needs that again. Check your reading, where you're going to ask some comprehension questions of your student, and then reading for meaning, which we're going to talk about story structure elements in the Three Bears. All right, we're going to talk about parts of a story. We're going to talk about characters, setting, and plot. This is some terms that we have used in our Class Connect sessions. So the characters are the people or animals in a story. The setting is where and when a story takes place. The plot is the most important things that happen in a story, or the most important events. So those are parts of a story that we're going to be looking at today. So I want you to think about the story of Chicken Little. That's a story that's in your Read Aloud Treasury book that you have read. And I'm going to give you a little summary of the story. And the acorn falls on Chicken Little's head while she's in the forest. She runs to tell the king that the sky is falling. Chicken Little meets many animals on the way to see the king. Every animal wants to go with Chicken Little to see the king. All right, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to tell the answers to your learning coach. Who are the characters in this story, the story of Chicken Little? Tell your learning coach that answer. If you said Chicken Little and the other animals, you are correct. What is the setting of the story? Or in other words, where is the story taking place? Hey, learning coach, where do you think the story is taking place? Where is the setting of this story? Okay, if you told them that was in the forest or on the road to the king's castle, those would be good answers. How does the plot end, or how does the most important event end? Okay, in this story, Foxy Loxy offers to show the animals the way to the king's castle, but he really takes them to his den. The animals never see the king. That is how the plot ends in the story of Chicken Little. All right, we're going to continue on with our story, The Three Bears. Once again, learning coaches, if you're doing this lesson on a different day than you did lesson 2, you will want to reread The Three Bears. You will want to go over the new words peep and porridge again. You will also want to do a book walk through the story. You will want to look at the title of the story. You will want to look at the pictures of the story. And so we're going to look at the pictures on the first picture in the story on page 150. So if you will take your Read Aloud Treasury book and turn to page 150. Now, as you're turning there, I want you to be thinking about who is the character in this story. I'm looking for page 150. Okay, let's see if I can get this where you can see it. All right, so let's look at the questions again. Who is the character that you see in the first picture of the story? Okay, if you said Mama Bear or the Mother Bear, you are correct. And what is Mama Bear doing? What is Mama Bear doing? Okay, if you said she's cooking or she's cooking porridge, you would be correct. Now, tell your learning coach, have you ever tasted porridge? Or have you ever eaten anything like porridge? And remember I told you in our previous lesson that porridge was kind of like oatmeal. So if you've eaten oatmeal before, then you have an idea of what porridge tastes like. Okay, once again, learning coaches, if you're doing this lesson on a different day, you will want to reread the Three Bears. Have your students sit next to you and let them see the pictures and the words while you read the story aloud. Make sure, students, that you listen carefully for the names of the characters, where the story is taking place. And I want you to also listen for storylines that repeat over and over. We call that repetitive text, such as, "That was just right," and "Someone has been sitting in my chair." Some of those lines are repeated over and over in this story. So I'm going to pause now if you need to reread the story. Okay, if you have reread the story, The Three Bears, to your student, you will now ask your students to retell the story in their own words. Once again, this helps to develop grammar, vocabulary, comprehension, and fluency skills. Once they have retold the story to you, then you could ask some questions to see if they can identify the repetitive text, which is the storylines that are repeated over and over, and if they can just answer some questions about the story. All right, boys and girls, first question. What does each bear say when the bears first come home? Tell your learning coach. If you said, they said, "Someone has been eating my porridge," you would be correct. Next question. What does each bear say when the bears see their chairs? Think about that. If you said, "Someone has been sitting in my chair," you would be correct. Next question. What does each bear say after the bears run upstairs? Tell your learning coach that. "Someone has been sleeping in my bed." And those lines are repeated by each of the bears. Next question. Why doesn't Goldilocks eat Papa Bear's porridge? Do you remember why she would not eat Papa Bear's porridge? If you told your learning coach she thought it was too hot, you're right. Why doesn't Goldilocks sit in Mama Bear's chair? Remember what she said about Mama Bear's chair? She said it's too soft. Next question. Why does Goldilocks sleep in Baby Bear's bed? What does she say about Baby Bear's bed? She says it's just right. Learning coaches, if your students had a hard time answering some of those questions, you may want to take the story and go back through the story and have them locate the repetitive text and look for the answers to those questions. And that will help them with their comprehension skills. All right, let's go back and review the story elements that we talked about at the beginning of our lesson. I told you that a story has certain parts or elements. This includes the characters, the setting, and the plot. Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions about the story elements and tell your learning coach the answers. Who are the characters in The Three Bears? Who are the characters? Tell your learning coach. Papa Bear, Mama Bear, Baby Bear, and Goldilocks are all good answers. Those are the characters that are in The Three Bears. Where does this story take place? Where does this story take place? What is the setting of this story? If you told your learning coach that it took place in the woods, or in a house in the woods, or in the Three Bears' house, all of those are good answers. Now, why do the Three Bears go for a walk? Why did they go for a walk? If you told your learning coach they wanted to let the porridge cool off, it was too hot to eat, that would be correct. Why does Goldilocks go upstairs? Why does she go upstairs and check out the beds? Tell your learning coach she feels sleepy. What is the first thing the bears notice when they come home? What's the first thing they notice? If you told your learning coach that someone's been sitting in their chairs, that's correct. Next question, where do the bears find Goldilocks? Where's Goldilocks at? Where do they find her? If you told your learning coach they found her sleeping in Baby Bear's bed or that she was upstairs in a bed, you were correct. Now, what is the plot of the Three Bears? Okay, what is the main events happening in the Three Bears? Tell your learning coach that. Okay, the plot would be a family of bears goes out for a walk. Goldilocks goes inside their house while they're gone. She eats their porridge, she sits on their chairs, and then she takes a nap in a bed. The bears come home and find her. She gets scared and runs away. Learning coaches, if your students have problems with answering those questions, you may want to go back to the story again and show them the answers, and once again talk about the characters, the setting, and the plot. Boys and girls, thank you so much for joining me for Lesson 3. I will see you in our next lesson. Bye now.